now, and welcome everybody to Tuesdays at the Capitol. It is Tuesday, January 19th. That's week 3 of the legislative session, and this is the Minnesota Brain Injury Alliance. It's Tuesday at the Capitol, where we meet every Tuesday at 10 o'clock for our Tuesdays at the Capitol. If you'd like to get involved, send me an email and I will send you the invite. And we open the room a half an hour early for hanging out. And in addition, we'll send out emails to keep you posted on what's happening with links and invites to these Zoom gatherings. Once a week, we will also do a hearing. I will make a hearing available on Zoom, and we can watch that together. That's totally optional and up to you guys if you wanna do that. And I'll also do a written update that I hope to send out every Tuesday afternoon after our Tuesday at the Capitol with a link to this video. So the point of doing these quick briefings is to just let everybody know what's happening. We were talking briefly before we started that the Minnesota legislature came into session in January, that this is a budget year. It's the first year of the 2-year cycle. And we are currently in the 3rd week of that legislative session. So this is sort of the Happy New Year, beginning of the school year, first day of school kind of stuff that we go through every couple of years. And obviously we are not at the Capitol. So we are doing Zoom Tuesdays. I'm calling them Zoom Tuesdays at the Capitol because of the COVID virus. The Capitol is closed down. The House is completely closed. The Senate is partially open. They are doing some members, senators, well, actually I shouldn't say completely closed. Senators and representatives, some of them can come down to the Capitol. They have to work that out, but it is completely closed to the public. I should be clear. The Senate hopes to be open somewhat to the public at some point during this year, but the House has not made that commitment. They intend to stay virtual. So what can we expect? Well, it's a pretty quiet week this week. The hearings have started. We see hearings. Most of them are at this point have been introductory in nature, so they introduce themselves. They're starting now to talk about the nature of the committee. So what is in the jurisdiction of the committee? They're starting to do some overviews about that. So like if you're concerned about transportation, you might want to check out a transportation hearing and you can hear about the jurisdiction of that committee. If you're concerned about Medicaid or medical assistance, check out one of the healthcare committees and see what they're going. It's also inauguration week in Washington, D.C. And so with the, what was it, a week ago with the violence at the Capitol, things are pretty much on a lockdown right now. And so at state capitals and at the U.S. Capitol. So I'm not anticipating a whole lot of activities going to be happening this week, although there is a full slate of committee hearings and that kind of stuff. But essentially it'll be pretty quiet. We're also hearing that because people are not at the Capitol, that the process has been slowed down a little bit. Bills are kind of backed up at the revisor's office. And so the requests that we've had for a couple of bills, and I'll update you guys on that in just a second, we're still waiting to get the actual bill drafts from the revisor's office to the author's office. Still, in our system in our legal system and our legislative system, these bills have to be processed in official capacities. They have to actually be on paper, in jackets with signatures, and being processed properly. We're hearing that things are backed up a little bit. So things will continue to roll. There'll continue to be hearings. The governor's budget is due in a week. And that will really start this whole process of starting to think about what's going to happen with the state budget. The governor makes his recommendations, then the legislature will weigh in over the course of the next following months. So I think we'll see the governor's budget next week. They'll sort of react to it. There'll be a budget forecast that'll come out at the end of the month. And then once March hits, I think we'll start getting a lot more into the weeds in terms of some of the budget issues. I won't go there today, but obviously lots of concerns about funding for a lot of different programs. So there are 2 bills that we've been working on right now, getting drafted. One is Cassie's Law, and I'm going to touch on that for just a second. It's a bill that was introduced last year. We amended it a couple of times, and it's in the revisor's office, and we're still waiting for a copy of that bill. We have had conversations with the chief author, who is going to be Althea Hollins in the Senate or in the House, and Senator Ingebrigtsen in the Senate. And we've begun meeting with committee members in the House Public Safety Committee and also in the Senate Judiciary Committee. So meetings are starting to happen on that bill. We're waiting for it to get drafted. As soon as we get a bill number and we get everything up to speed, we're going to get you guys more engaged and involved in that. Also, I don't think Joy is with us. She joined by phone last week. She's having some technology challenges, but we're also, her representative, Jim Dabney's offered to author her bill to educate transit drivers on exiting buses safely for people in walkers and wheelchairs. And so both of those bills are currently being drafted, and we intend to move forward on those. So a status report on that. We haven't seen them yet. We do have a Mitch Berggren, who was a paid lobbyist that the Minnesota Brain Injury Alliance hired until we hire staff again, has been working on those, getting those bills secured and on the way. So a couple of other things just to note. I mentioned this to folks already, but for those of you watching on the video, in 2 weeks, on February 2nd, we're going to be partnering with the Minnesota Consortium for Citizens with Disabilities on Tuesdays at the Capitol. As you guys remember, we're going to be doing this every Tuesday, but once a month, we're going to be doing it in partnership with the MNCCD. And so I know it's going to be a little tricky, but on the day that we partner with CCD, I have to give you guys a different Zoom number because we're going to use their Zoom account. So we'll make sure somebody's on our Zoom account in case you end up in the wrong place to shoot you back over to the right place. But in 2 weeks, we're going to be joining CCD. So we'll be here at the same one next week, and then the following week we'll be at CCD. What we decided to do with that one is to make the focus of that joint CCD Brain Injury Tuesday at the Capitol to be Cassie's Law. And that is what we were discussing before you guys joined us, and it's the bill that I was just talking about that's getting drafted. And I want to touch on it for just a second to give you guys let you guys know what that's about, and that's going to be our focus. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that today, but I do want to give you guys a quick overview. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick screen share and bring up last year's flyer that we had on this law for you guys. Now, a couple of things to note. One is this is last year's flyer. So ignore these bill numbers. Do not write them down. They're old. They won't get you anywhere. And in talking to Tim, we've also been spelling Cassie's name wrong. So it's C-A-S-S-Y. So I'm going to fix this flyer. But this is what we're really going to focus on in a couple of weeks. And so I just want to let you guys know this bill is being drafted. And we're really putting a full court press on, meeting with committee members and legislators to get this bill rolling. And so we will come back to that next week. But essentially, it's to make sure that people that have a history of stroke, brain injury, or fetal alcohol syndrome, that courts and judges and the criminal justice system make sure that we do neuropsychological evaluations before anybody is sentenced. Now, there's lots of different conversations about should it apply to every crime? Should it just apply to felonies? Why should we wait until they're sentenced? Shouldn't this apply to anybody who's caught up in the court system? There's a lot of different ways and paths for this to follow, but we know clearly that the most vulnerable, the most at risk, the most people impacted by this are people who are sentenced to crimes, who have a history of brain injury or stroke, where the court system has no awareness or knowledge of that. And they get caught up in that cycle of incarceration that is never ending. And so we're going to be talking more about that over the next couple of weeks, but I wanted to just let you guys know that bill is being drafted. We're going to have a bill number, hopefully within 2 weeks, and we can get rolling on it. Lastly and finally, as my 10 minutes is I'm just going over my 10 minutes. This is the time for you guys to be scheduling meetings with your senator and your representative. So please send them an email, ask them for a Zoom meeting, get a hold of me. I'll come with you. I'll help you do it. Or you can get a hold of me first and I'll help you get the meeting, whatever it is. Let's get those meetings together. This is an ongoing relationship. This is not a one-shot deal. So I think what we need to do is to get a meeting set up, reintroduce yourself to them if they've been around for a while. Even if you know them, it doesn't hurt to get connected to them. And so they're only going to be 10, 15-minute meetings where you can share your story with them. Talk to them about an issue that you care about. And it can be anything that you want to work on. And if you'd like, you could also talk to them about our public policy agenda. If you would like some help in having a topic for that meeting. And so I'm happy to help you guys set those meetings up. We can talk about Cassie's Law. We can talk about our other policy agendas, and I posted that on the website for you guys to take a look at. So that's our briefing for this week. Things are a little quiet, but they're starting to pick up speed. We know that with this being inauguration week, everybody's nervous about violence and that kind of thing, so it's going to be a little quiet. But it is full steam ahead at the Capitol, and we'll be doing a Zoom hearing tomorrow in the House, so I'll send out that invite this afternoon. Okay, so that's it for the briefing. I'm going to stop recording and open it up for questions.